Thank you for clicking in to explore the far-reaching impacts of the choices we make, one conversation at a time. This is the Ripple Effect. Today we have another real estate agent. We had talked to one before. We decided to bring on another one that could talk more in depth on the NAR, some of the condo issues, and some of the unique things going on here in Palm Coast that we're not seeing other places in the country. So Palm Coast is a unique environment. There's a lot of people moving here because of the cost and everything, which will be discussed by Colleen Hess over here. At this point, I would like to introduce Colleen Hess and get a little bit more information about her. If she could share a little bit about her story and her history and whatever she feels comfortable sharing. Colleen.
Hi. Okay. Hi, Eddie. My name's Colleen Hess. I am a real estate agent with Remax Select Professionals. I am within the top 100 producing agents. I've lived in Flagler County since 1991. I have 3 children, 9, 27, and 31, and they're flow grown. So, I specialize in residential real estate, condos, vacant land sales, dabble a little bit within commercial. I service Volusia, Flagler, and St. Johns County. And I used to be a school teacher. I have an early childhood education school teacher until my children started elementary school, and then I chose the real estate career for the flexibility of being able to work around the holidays and just have the flexibility of the career that it offers.
So does being a real estate agent really help with that? Does it really make it easy for you to be a parent?
No, it can be Christmas Eve and you can be baking cookies and get a phone call and have to take off your apron and go show a property. Yes.
Because I have to ask that question because a lot of people have, talked to and so forth. They come up with the same kind of thing is because they have kids and they think that they're going to have more flexibility and that this just kind of job opportunity and career approach will give them that flexibility to be, I can be with my kid and then I can do this on the side kind of like thing, or in the time I have free. But from when I talk to them a little bit, most of them say, no, this doesn't really work out as I thought.
No, I've taken a listing agreement before, down in the Keys before parasailing, and take a phone call and write their phone number down and say, okay, yeah, I'll give you a call back. And once you get back to the resort, you go ahead and you look up their information. It happens all the time. It's something in the real estate market where we do say, go on vacation, you'll get business.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So something goes out into the atmosphere and then your phone will be ringing. It does happen.
Okay. So, that's interesting. So we brought you back on, Colleen, and we thank you for you coming on. We want to cover a couple more things and maybe go in more in depth on some of the topics we talked about before. One of them is definitely the NAR. It's new.
NRA. I don't need to correct it.
NAR. I thought.
National Association of Realtors. I'm wrong. You're right. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, the NAR is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But NAR is like you said,
National Association of Realtors.
Right. So this is a new law. Would be the correct term, right? Law.
Yes, it's a rule.
Okay, rules.
I would be careful with using the word law. It is on the table for 7 years, and it has taken effect August 17th of this year. So all of our listings that we had to send an addendum to our sellers and have our sellers sign the addendum stating that they are still willing to offer a compensation. I'm sure you're familiar with the within the multiple listing system. It will have a co-broke amount of what they are willing to compensate the other agent. That is no longer on the table. So a buyer's agent will go into a house to view a property and not know what they're going to get paid unless they physically pick up the phone, send a text or an email and ask that agent. And as just for an example, Friday, I showed 16 properties last Friday in Ormond and South Flagler. That I had my buyer sign the agreement and said, my professional fee is 3%. I do not know what I'm going to be compensated on the other side. Are you willing to fill in the gap? Obviously, I'm going to get something between 1 to 2.5. Hopefully it's 3, so you don't have to come out of pocket, but are you willing to do that? And that is the conversation. And I can give you my opinion on that.
Well, previous to the 17th, they would have to post seller would have to post on the MLS what they're offering for compensation.
Correct.
So that would mean, let's say they put 3% up there. That would mean that if you sold our house, they're going to pick up the buyer's broker compensation to 3% if they had a
Correct.
3% up there.
If I'm the seller and you're the buyer, I'm the selling agent, you're the buying agent. You bring in the buyer and you in the MLS, it says 3%. You know that you're going to get compensated 3% of that sales price.
Okay.
That is now gone.
So you don't know what to
No.
Can you pick up the phone and, as you said, call the broker for the seller and said, what is he offering?
Yes, that's what we are to do. People, some agents are starting to put on their key tags. And when we go to show a property and we enter the lockbox, they'll put 2%, 3%. Sellers are writing on on a piece of paper in the kitchen counter, seller offering 2.5% compensation to buyer's agent. As I mentioned, I showed 16 homes. Do you really think I have time to call every agent on top of scheduling every one of those appointments to say, what am I going to get paid for just a buyer out looking and exploring the area? You're not.
So what was wrong with doing it the old way, putting the 3% up there?
The people, apparently people went after, there was a huge settlement, which we would have to get in. That's a whole nother subject that I'm not truly educated enough to discuss.
Was it that class action
Yes.
lawsuit? Okay.
And NAR has basically done this to save themselves a ton of money. So they have basically thrown agents under the bus, and this is the new rule, and we have to figure ways to navigate.
This is basically derived because it's supposedly you're supposed to be able to negotiate this, and people don't know that they could negotiate these terms and so forth. So it's still people, when you sign the amendment, you tell them that they still can negotiate these prices and so forth.
And that's another, yes. And I got notification yesterday through Stellar, which is our local MLS, that the concessions field will now be removed. They put in the concessions field recently once they took out the commission field. I'm going to call it commission field. It's now compensation. But the old commission field, they took that out, and then they put in this concession field. Well, the rules are not clear enough yet for the nation, for the industry. So some agents were putting the real estate commission as a concession. Right? Seller is willing to pay $13,000 in concession. Well, it's too wide. It's too broad. What is it for? Closing costs, prepaids, home inspections? And so as of yesterday, this Tuesday, it's coming up. They're going to be taking it out. And don't quote me on that date, but this coming week, they will be taking out the concession field because it's just too complicated and confusing.
Okay, so basically, like you said, you showed 16 houses. Out of that, how many houses did the client that you were showing these houses to actually think that was, something they would be interested in?
Well, he's in the exploratory phase. I have a partner, Doug Colpois with RE/MAX. He has 29 years in the business. So I took South Flagler and Ormond. He did North Flagler and St. John's. So they're in the exploratory phase. We showed over 30 properties.
Okay.
So.
And then I just want to drop back just a second. If there is no, on the MLS, there's no percentage that they're going to pay you, compensation, and the buyer decides that, and you're going to get your 3%, that means the buyer has to pay your entire 3%.
Correct.
Wouldn't it make sense that the seller offer as much as they can as an incentive for a buy and just work it into the price of the home?
For the exposure, absolutely. I feel some sellers are going to have to get stung because they are not going to offer compensation and their home will continue to sit. And we are also up against new construction, and the new construction is advertising everywhere 3%. They have more power because they're corporations. We're 1099, we're independent. Even though I'm with RE/MAX Select Professionals, I still have to pay for my own advertising, and I'm not allowed to put it out there. I will get fined immediately at $500, no warning, if it is stated anywhere.
So if what is stated anywhere?
The commission.
Okay.
The compensation.
So the corporations can do this without getting fined, but you can as an individual.
Right.
That
Yes.
seems fair.
My husband works for Adams Homes. I'm sorry to talk over you. My husband sells new construction for Adams Homes, and he's offering 5%, and so it is tricky. But in a year from now, this will be a moot point, and it will be past us, and we've worked out the kinks, and we'll move on. I am not in favor of having to meet with a buyer, and the first thing I have to talk to you about is
What you're paid,
yes,
or what
and
he's going to pay you.
what he's going to pay me, and if he's a first time home buyer, a vet, FHA, a 203K home improvement loan, they're spending money. They're paying PMI every month on their insurance. They shouldn't have to pay the buyer's agent. But let me be clear that throughout the United States, there are states that this is common. So I don't know the percentage. Maybe research how many states I should have. How many states have already had a buyer's broker agreement?
18.
18. So
Florida is not one of them.
yes. So yes.
Also, it's definitely a new thing that, I mean, in a way, you got to think it's good for the client to understand this kind of concept, and they have a little bit more negotiation power in the process. For the seller, it's probably something they're not used to, but in some ways, I think the sellers have been used to having to give some kind of compensation on both sides in order to sell their house quickly.
Correct. I will say that it will help a buyer's agent make more money. Actually, I feel that the listing, when you go on a listing and you agree a compensation amount and you agree to split it whatever way you do, which I do is 50-50. So if my commission is 6%, you're going to get 3, I'm going to get 3. Most of the time, the average commission has been 2% lately because the prices have been so inflated. And so when the prices go up, the commissions come down. Always have, they always will. Compensation. Now, like, if I can say 3% and I can talk with my buyer. So if you look at it, I will be making more money, but I will adjust down to 2.5 to 2, depending on the situation. So, depending on this, it's a case by case scenario.
And over the long haul, do you think this is going to be a positive aspect or a negative to the market?
I think it's going to be bumpy. I don't think it's going to drive it down or up. It's just, it's how we're going to work through the wrinkles and try to make it as smooth. I have a buyer that I've been working with for 7 years, and I showed him 16 homes about a month ago. And I had to have this conversation with him because he was familiar with the new ruling coming up. And he said, "How is this going to affect me, Colleen?" And I said, "Well, you will have to be signing a form. Even for a video tour, you have to sign this agreement." And I said, I mentioned this, my professional fee is 3%. And he said, "Well, I sold my home and it was a discount brokerage, and I'm going to do 2%. And I said, "I've worked with you for 7 years. My professional fee is 3%. He said, "I will throw that in the contract when I decide to make an offer."
You'll throw in the 2% or the 3%?
3.
Okay.
And then that becomes a part of negotiating in the sales contract as well.
So that means the seller has to come up with that 1%.
3%.
Oh, the whole 3%.
3%. So it's on a case by case, person by person basis of what they want to do. That's what he's going to do. I keep hitting this microphone. That's what he's going to do, but that's not what everybody's going to do. So we're going to have to tread and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is all a negotiation, as they want it to be between the seller and the buyer, and the agents are pretty much at the discretion of whether they want to go with this contract based on what the seller and the buyer agree to, and so forth. So yeah, it's a little bit more rocky for you, and a little bit more engaging or more work for the seller and buyer in the whole process, where before it was kind of like everything was up front for them.
Correct.
And easier for you to know what you were getting ahead of time. Now everything is more, floating until you find out what's going on.
There's certain people that say it's great that that field has been taken out because agents will only show the ones that are getting the 3%. And there's very few agents that do that look at I mean, I never know when I'm getting paid until I look at till closing, till I'm under contract. So there's people that are happy about it and they feel that it's a great thing. I have a seller that's happy about it. So none of my sellers gave me a hard time. I said I had to have them sign an addendum by the 17th stating that you are still willing to compensate, a buyer's agent. It's redundant. It's already in the existing listing agreement. We just had to bring it up to date. And 8 of my sellers, they had no issues. They all signed, except for one said, good, I'm glad it's out of there, which.
And just because you don't find it on the MLS anymore, can't an agent just put it on their site?
We can.
That seems to be the easiest way to handle it.
Yeah. Yep. And also some agents are also putting 2. So if it's a $300,000 home, a $300,000 home will be 300,002. And the 2 means 2%. We're all trying to figure out ways to get the message out there.
Okay. In addition to this, the NRA, there's still other things that affect Palm Coast that are quite different. And you're seeing a lot of data, being that you're with RE/MAX and getting access to their data. How is the overall Flagler County, Florida market doing, or how is the comparison between all of Florida and Flagler County, in your opinion, based on the data?
We have a lot of people waiting. Flagler County is growing west. Can I go into a little bit of history?
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah.
Okay. So back in the boom in 2003 to 2005, anything west of US 1 was going to be Palm Coast West. It was going to have its own school system and the infrastructure was put in, and then the market tanked. And now we see what's going on with Sawmill Creek and all of those subdivisions, the 55 plus communities. It's starting to establish, right? The second go around. People are going to move. If you're on the West Coast or the East Coast of Florida, we're just going to keep coming in west, west, west. I've lived in Florida since 1984, and we've always had an influx of people because of our climate and our taxes. Our taxes have jumped, and that is a problem. And that's another subject. And I told you, I'll get off. I'll go.
No problem.
So,
but still, the no state tax is a draw.
Correct. And when people talk to me and say, oh, well, in Florida, I said, well, in Florida, we do not have a state tax. Can you please tell me what your taxes are in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut? We don't have a state tax. We don't have a pet tax. We may have a $5 pet tax. I take that back. For the county, not state. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, Florida seems, especially Flagler County, seems to be drawing a lot of people. We've grown from like 85,000 to over 100,000.
We have 125,000 people.
In Flagler?
In the county?
In Palm Coast.
Palm
In
Coast?
Flagler County.
Yeah.
In Flagler County.
100,000 of which are in Palm Coast, from the last numbers I've seen. And we're growing quickly with our house production increasing. I think actually the available houses coming out. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we are still growing. We haven't collapsed. When the market collapsed in 2008, we had about 100,000 people. We had about the same amount of people. And then at one time I brought some statistics. If we take them and I'll pull them up. We had so many foreclosures. There were like 288 list pendants being filed a month. At one time, we had over 1,000 foreclosures on the market just sitting vacant. And it affected the market. You know, my children were losing friends. They had to relocate. Their parents had just to get up. Pets were being dropped off at the Humane Society with their bedding and the dog food. It was a crisis, and we have built up. And I think the influx with the real estate market and the way the new construction has done it, they've done it differently. They've done it in sections: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And the general public was getting angry because they couldn't be put on a list. They didn't open up a list yet, but the new builders were doing that to avoid the crash. So they were supply and demand. And during COVID, and we had an over the demand was huge, and the builders kind of pumped the brakes and said, you're going to have to wait your turn. And then they would have to find something else or be put on a wait list and just wait. So I don't think we'll see a crash. I'm praying. I know short sales are improving. They're coming up. Short sales are coming, and list pendants, foreclosures. And I think that the governor really needs to focus and pay attention on to the state of Florida and what people are saying, the taxes, homeowners insurance, the age of your roof, the insurance companies taking people for a ride. Something has to be done. That is the most important thing to keep Florida growing, because we do have people exiting Florida because of this.
So you're talking about the changes in the insurance, especially with the roofs, and we had that little crisis there for a while. That prior to recent changes in the laws, the insurance company had to replace your whole roof at their cost. Now I think it's a 40-60 or a 70-30, depending on the actual materials, to your roof to be changed and so forth. Meaning you'll pay a portion of that instead of all on the insurance companies because of all the exodus and so forth. I heard. How is that, affecting the cost of insurance?
It affects the cost of insurance greatly. A very dear friend of mine, her insurance, it lives on the conservation area. So she has to carry flood insurance, and she has a tile roof, and a tile roof will have a 50-year life, as where an architectural shingle roof will do a 30-year life. So her insurance company, it was about, let's say $4,500 she was paying a year. They raised it to $13,700, her insurance.
What is the average? I mean, it's everywhere I look or I go to, it seems like I'm getting a different, like I ask online, what's the average cost of homeowners insurance per month in Flagler County? And I was getting anywhere between $120 a month to $200 a month. Now you're coming up with $4,000, $13,000. What is the actual average cost, if you could put your finger on it?
So if you're going to purchase a brand new home, you can keep it under $1,200 a year. That's a home under 5 years old. I would be comfortable saying, if you're not in a flood zone, or any special area like that, I would say you're comfortable $1,200 or less a year for full coverage. If you're on the canals or if you're on the conservation area, it's going to be a little tricky. And the older the home, basically you can have a home that's in pristine condition and it can be a 1979 home, but it doesn't matter. The insurance companies are going to take into consideration that the home is 1979 and they're going
to ask you what the roof is made of, when was it last replaced.
Well, you're always going to want to do a wind mitigation to give to your insurance company. So you're going to save a few $100s there a year. A wind mitigation is a must. And I have information. A wind mitt is good for end of 4-point, which would go over your water heater, your electric, your roof, and hold on. Sorry, guys.
So now they're including, we already heard that they always want to check your roof and your water heater, but there's also electric in this process they're coming in?
Yes. The Insurance Office of America, he gave me some information. Am I allowed to mention names?
Yes, fine.
It's fine.
Okay. Michael Zeev, he has been helping so many people. A wind mitigation report is valid for 5 years with all Florida home insurers. A 4-point inspection, which validates whether the plumbing, electric, roof, and HVAC systems are in satisfactory condition, are generally valid for 12 months, although some companies have moved to a shorter period, such as 90 days.
You have to have
it's only good that whatever report or you have done, it only lasts 90 days. You can do it all over again.
Right.
Let's hope it's not expensive.
Well, it's about $125 for a wind mitigation, and then it's probably about $125 for a 4-point. But I just learned that yesterday, only good for 90 days.
And that would only save you a couple $100 on your insurance on a yearly basis.
I don't even think you would save a couple $100 with the 4-point. It's the wind mitigation that's the most important for your insurance company, to make sure that the strapping is right and the everything is spaced right.
And you probably couldn't speak to this, but if I was contemplating buying a 15-year home here in Palm Coast,
Mhm.
and everything was fine, the roof was we were 15 years into a 30-year architectural shingle type roof. Would it be over $4,000 a year in homeowners insurance? I know it's difficult.
No. If you're going to go ahead and purchase a 15-year-old home, I will go ahead and I think that your insurance would probably somewhere around $2,400 a year. But within that 5 years, you're going to have to pay attention, because they're going to be watching you, and they're going to want you to replace your roof by 20, even though it's a 30-year architectural shingle and you have no water damage, and you've had your house inspected and your wind met, and there's not a lot of granule loss, but the insurance companies are dictating that, and something needs to be done about that.
Okay.
I can go ahead and validate this. I have a 20-year-old house built in 2004, a new roof, new AC, and a new water heater.
Okay.
My other company basically dropped me because of some minor little things so they could leave the state. They were in the process of leaving the state, so they found that the little vines that grow up the side, they said, you don't maintain your home because this vine's going up the side. This was their excuse for dropping me, and I had to find other coverage. My coverage now has went from a 1,200, 1,100 to 24 to 2,600, just because of the new policies they have, the lack of actual competition in the space and so forth. So that was an adjustment that I had to get used to. I didn't like it, but it's okay. My house is pretty cheap.
It wasn't that far off, though, right?
Yeah, it's very correct. I would say that's the best. You hit it right about the right place.
It's hard. I'm in the service. I'm in sales to serve, and I want to help. And we have problems, and there's things that the government has to take care of and stop, because it's not right. There are people on fixed income. It's just my biggest gripe. It bothers me.
Well, we touched on this briefly the last time, is when I look at Florida, and you look at the amount of available housing that's on the market, Florida is well ahead of every other state as far as how many houses are actually for sale. You look in Nevada, or you look in Chicago, or you look in somewhere other in the Midwest, they're 12% over what it was last year. Florida is 30 to 40% as far as what's on the market. But housing prices are not falling. If anything, people are putting like you said early on, you don't have your buyers lining up, but people are getting 95 to 100% of the asking price.
If you're priced correctly, we are seeing $125,000 price drop on some properties.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The seller, I don't want to get off subject, because I know that this is my first podcast. And when you sit down with the seller and you're a strong agent, you look at that seller and say, Mr. Seller, I know that you feel that they're going to come in and want to negotiate, but if your home is priced right, we won't need that. The buyer's dictating this market right now. And if they feel that there's value in your home where it's priced, you are going to get list price, or maybe 1% under. That's the market we're in right now. So let me ask you this. How many of you would want to test that? Owning homes. What I'm asking you to do.
If I'm selling my home, I want to go ahead and try to get it sold. There's a reason for me selling my home, and I'm obviously going to move somewhere else. So I have to see what the market trends are. And I understand that we're in a state of increased cost and also increased interest rates. So this means the buyers have certain restraints. I have to take this into evaluation. And if you want to, you could go ahead and speak about these two things that are kind of making it a little bit different. I know when I bought my first house in the 90s, I paid like 9%. It wasn't a big deal because the cost was cheaper, much cheaper.
$78,000 I paid for my first home in the R section, and that was with the lot.
Yeah, mine was about 85, 90,000. But was decent for that price and where it was located, but we don't pay 90,000 anymore. We're paying like average house is around 450, I think, or something like that. From last I checked, I think you have better numbers than me. So when you consider 450 plus a higher interest rate, you're still paying more overall.
Actually, let me correct you. The average house in Florida is in the 6s. The median is in the low 4s.
Right. Our local is.
You owe me a cup of coffee for that.
Whatever.
So
and not to get off the, what is that difference? I really don't know why there's a 600 and a 400. What's the difference between median and average?
location.
Okay. That's easy. I can keep that.
Location. East of I-95, you have Hammock Beach Club, Hammock Dunes, the Saltwater Canals, the F section, Palm Harbor. And so that's the difference. And also, I was actually surprised to find out that Naples is the fastest growing county, because Naples is actually the fastest growing town in Florida. I looked up statistics yesterday, and we are seeing an influx of people moving from Southwest Florida due to getting hammered from the storms, just hit. And so we do have a lot of that. And a lot of people are relocating to Tallahassee, like that area, the Big Bend area, because that is a hidden treasure as well. Panama City Beach, it's not developed there. And we all know about it.
But that's the western part of the Panhandle. That's not any better for hurricanes. They kind of they're kind of going up that way as well.
I know.
That's the path.
Yeah. Well, they've been coming in through the Bend for sure, the Milton area.
And here in Palm Coast, they come up from the Gulf, they cross the state, and either they peter out by the time they get to the Palm Coast, or they just miss us to the north. But we here in Palm Coast, we don't get that category 3 or those high winds, because it's crossed the landmass, and it's much less on the site.
Last time we've been hit, and you can confirm this, I'm pretty sure it was back in the 60s. Flagler County took a direct hit. So, and yeah, I've lived in Florida since 1984. I left when Andrew was coming through. I already moved to Palm Coast when we had one red light. So
yeah, I just did a quick research yesterday about what is the least affected area of Florida with respect to hurricanes, going back to 1853 when they started recording them, and it is the Northeast, and we are part of that. We're on the southern tip of the Northeast of Florida, but ours is the least hit.
Yep.
But the most hit is that Panhandle, because they have their temperatures are much lower than ours, and that strengthens the hurricane as it makes its way there.
With the Gulf Stream, I'm not a meteorologist.
Neither am I. I'm just telling you what they said. But I want to just drop back one more second. Okay. So I asked this question to other people, and we touched on it briefly, is that, we have this inventory in Florida is growing. Now, you could negate it. You could tell me if I'm wrong. Inventory in Florida, housing inventory is growing faster than it is anywhere else in the country. But prices are not falling as fast as they are in other parts of the country. As a matter of fact, they're maybe not increasing, but they're holding steady. And the turnover in buyers are still buying here.
Correct.
And so the big purple elephant in the room is, is this a phenomenon only to Florida? And what we're going to see is a balloon. I mean, we're going to see a burst as it was in 2008, because this can't sustain itself. Or is this just the new normal for Florida? People want to live in Florida. So the reason this is being supported is, like you said in the beginning, is they have a lot of cash buyers in here. A lot of people who have figured out, wait a second, I don't want to live in the north anymore and shovel snow. My job can be done remotely. And I am the 3rd, 4th, 5th time house buyer. I'm going down to Florida and buying a home. So they come in with cash. Those companies that aren't really, ones we mentioned, was part of that cash market. So the question was, is there a bubble coming, or is this the new normal?
There could be a bubble. I think we're in a gradual bubble, if that makes any sense. We are seeing more homes in the 2s, right? There was a time when we didn't see anything under 325,000. So now we do have inventory. They go quick. You can purchase a home for 250,000. It's going to be a fixer upper, but a year ago, there would only be 2-bedroom homes priced in the 250s. Now we're having 3-bedroom older homes, And let's not forget, we're in a builder's market. The builders are driving the boat with their incentives for all buyers. And you get the structural warranty, your appliances are warranty, you have a 10-year warranty, all the warranties that come with it, and they buy into the market, the feds, and they buy money to be able to offer a competitive interest rate of 4.999. Why would you want to go buy an existing home at 6.5% when you can go buy a brand new block home or stick built, whatever you prefer?
That can you just give soundbite? Why are they able? How are they able to offer 4.99 again?
The only way I can explain it, and we can research this, there's money allocated from the feds that certain
demographics get it.
No, I don't know. I don't know. That's something I can't say yes or no to that.
Okay.
We'd have to research it. But if you see D.R. Horton or Adams Homes, I hate to mention names, guys.
Affordable Housing Act.
The Affordable Housing Act has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
No.
Maybe first home buyer. Oh, okay.
Nope.
So there's some demographic out there that can go into new housing construction. That company can offer a much lower rate than prime or 30-year fixed, whatever we're doing.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. They purchase money. The feds release so much money, and then the builders, whether D.R. Horton, Adams, Seagate, any of them, they go ahead and they purchase it, and then they're able to offer a lower interest rate than normal. And I think that's
why they're driving the market.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's kind of a unfair advantage almost, you would think.
For a seller that has an existing home, and when you sit down as a listing agent and you have to explain this, it's a lot to take in. Mr. Seller, you have to understand your home. I love your home, and I know you love your home, and it means a lot to you, and you've had a lot of great years. But unfortunately, our competition, this 1,600 square foot home that you're wanting me to sell for 350, somebody can go buy this home on the same street for 320 at a 4.99% interest rate and be covered.
And get their appliances covered.
And the warranties.
Then the roof's new.
Mm-hmm.
So is the water heater.
So,
insurance is lower.
Does that make sense, Mr. Seller? Yes, Colleen, but I would still like to list my house at 350.
Do they sit?
Yes, they sit.
And do they end up coming down a little bit, getting more realistic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Is it easy? No.
Oh, one question that I wanted to ask, and again, I don't want to get off the general topic, is, in election years, people say, you hear that buying slows down in an election year. Then you hear people say, well, the buying may slow down a little bit, not crazy down, maybe off 5% from the year before, a non-election year. And if it has slowed down a little bit, that just means that they're not gone. They're just going to, the next year after an election year, you see better numbers. Is there any rule to that? People
have been waiting. I have been saying this for years in my own head, and I swear by it. It's an election year. It's going to be funky. All right. So let's say 12 years ago, and we didn't have the climate that we do now. I never talked to the general public about it. I always kept it to myself because it was never talked about. 12 years ago, an election year was never talked about. And then it started to get brought up a little bit more. This is the most that I have ever heard the public and people say it's an election year. I think, again, people are sitting back waiting to see what happens. Mm-hmm. We're in a state, the country is in a, if you pay attention to the Middle East, mm-hmm. We have to pay attention. We're trying to, I don't know. All I know is I'm in real estate and I pray for our service members. I pray for the people in the Middle East. I want the country to straighten out. And I'm sorry, I got off subject.
Well, one thing I would say for sure, if you are, it could be the flavor of the year that everybody's talking, because people are talking about how this election year is going to affect real estate prices. Then it just kind of takes off. But what you can say about that is that different administrations, different parties will have different policies. and those policies will affect interest rates moving forward. So you kind of you can't go wrong by actually looking at that.
Oh, absolutely not. It's the political climate. It's people are waiting to see what the interest rates are going to do. This one's for that. That one's for that. I wish I had a crystal ball. And they were also, let's not forget, the Fed said that they would drop the interest rates 4 times. And when I had a listing in the first quarter, I had a buyer come in to one of my open houses, and she said, well, I'm just going to wait because the interest rates are going to drop 4 times. If you can look up, how many times has the interest rates dropped this year so far?
None.
Right. I think once. I think we're at 1 or 2. And we're going into the last quarter. So I looked at her and I said, okay, we're at the end of March and we haven't dropped yet. So, here's my card. And when they do drop, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to help you.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting. I was looking at the interest rate, and the excitement is that the interest rates are keep ticking up. I think it was 5.25, or I don't know where it's at now. Is it?
It's in low 6s.
Low 6s. Yeah. Okay, that's the Fed rate, or is that the 30-year fixed?
I don't know.
Okay, so anyway, it's low 6s. And if you look at it historically, we're not even getting back to the normal rate. Like we before 1980, we were in the anywhere from 3 to 5.5. 1980 came, it popped up to 22%, and then it started to make its way back down. We were at 4, anywhere from 4 to 6, all the way up until 2008, and then it dropped down to almost 0.
Correct.
After the crash, because they were trying to stimulate, and then it popped back up. And then right after COVID, again, we need to stimulate the economy. It dropped back down to almost 0. And now it's making its way back up. Now we're at 6%. So we're kind of right where we need to be on a historical perspective. But people think, oh my God, because they're used to that mindset of that after 2019, the Fed dropped their Fed rate all the way down to almost 0 just to get the economy going again. And everybody thinking interest rates should be around 1-2%. But on a historic basis, we're just hitting par.
You're right. I feel a comfortable interest rate is 5 to 6.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair number. My son, I think he got in at 2.75, but that's VA. So that may be something different. I'm not sure. And another thing that has changed over the years is FHA and VA are actually getting lower interest rates than conventional people with stellar credit, a lot lower, like in the 5s. And that makes me scratch my head because I'm not a mortgage broker. And I just wonder.
What's considered stellar credit? What point? Over 700?
Oh, 760, 770, something over there. You're going to shine. But to me, I think that's working backwards for the people that are working towards good credit and doing what you think. And then they're having to pay a higher interest rate than FHA. Plus, then the FHA, maybe they're doing that because they have to pay PMI and making up. I don't know.
I think VA is getting the lower rates because they're kind of somewhat more secure than other things. I know mine was 2.25.
Oh, good.
But the APR is not really 2.25. You're going to pay a little bit more than that, actually. But at least the rate is lower than what you would see other ways. From what I see online, is it dropped recently to 6.46. So I mean, the interest rate's not really that bad, but I think it's more that the cost of the actual house has gone up so dramatically that this rate is making a big difference in the cost of what it costs somebody to get into a house. And then we have to look at your flexible income, that 30% that they usually go by. Some people just don't have this.
Correct.
Our wages haven't gone up compared to the cost of everything for a lot of people. So you're outpricing. Your houses are outpricing their actual income.
The prices are steadily coming down. My son recently he wanted to see a home built in 1984. I took him and his wife over there, and the broken windows and everything would have to be updated, and was listed, let's say, $284. I said, appease me. Let me show you one home. And it's not the best builder, but it's brand new. I said, just keep that in mind. It's 4 bedrooms. Imagine your first home being a 4-bedroom home. I wish, and he bought it $313. $313,000. His home insurance is he lives on a cul-de-sac. He's in a desirable neighborhood. It's a brand new home. He has all the warranties, and he pulled the trigger. I think he ended up getting in with, I think, around 6.5 or maybe even 7. So I just wait for, if the interest rates drop, just go ahead and refinance. So $300,000 for a 4-bedroom brand new home in Palm Coast is affordable for a lot of people.
Very. I would say that's a good deal considering the cost of everything.
A brand new home. Yes.
So, Colleen, there was one other things we want to talk to you about. You're aware of a project that's going to happen here probably next year or the year after that deals with condos and a big development that's possibly coming in. And we wanted to go ahead and give you the opportunity to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. Tell us what it's about, what it might be, how big it is, and who's doing it, and why it might be different from some of the other condos that are already developed, and what it might.
It's going to be an elite program. My broker, Pam Capella, actually went down to West Palm Beach and Miami to explore the Ritz-Carlton condominiums to see. And she said it is a level of service that you have never experienced in your life from the moment you walk in the door. So some of the questions that you all sent, and there's going to be 128 oceanfront condos in Hammock Dunes. It's going to be next to the Tuscany. I want to confirm that. That's the furthest condo south in Hammock Dunes. And I'll confirm that. And it's on over a little bit of 7 acres. You're going to have palm trees on top of the building. It's going to look so cool on the Atlantic. It's really, it's going to change a lot for Palm Coast. So feel free to ask me questions.
When you say 128 condos, is that in one building or?
It will be 2 buildings. And I have a picture of it.
So you said this is Ritz-Carlton and it's a high-end luxury condo. So they're
correct.
pretty pricey, I'm sure.
They're starting at $4 million.
Okay, that's very
And
pricey.
the penthouse is listed. The penthouse is already under contract, and that was at 12. So one of the questions, they are researching amenities because of the upscale of it and what Hammock Dunes. I don't know if any. Do you all live in Hammock Dunes right now?
No, I've been there, but I don't live there.
Right. So it has, of course, the golf course and the community center and the country club, and beautiful. They're kind of trying to figure out, because older people live there, but a lot of younger families live there, and they want it to tailor to everybody. You know, obviously people that are going to have a $4 million budget. So also the BH Group, the related group, the largest luxury condo developer in the U.S., a Miami-based real estate company, BH Group, are partnering to deliver a boutique-branded condominium project. Their first in Palm Coast. The venture will feature 2 towers with 128 oceanfront residences across roughly 7 acres and set to redefine upscale living in the area. They are planning on breaking ground in 2025. It is a 2-year project. So it will be done by 2027.
So you had a picture?
You have to find it.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So,
but are they over 3 stories? Each one of these towers? Okay.
Yes. And I also, we're going to be following the new rules. So those laws from the insurance, the new rule policies with the insurance company are already going to be impacted. As I mentioned earlier, very few reserves are met. Condo reserves are met through the state of Florida. So they're going to do it right to make sure they don't fall within that. So
I thought that Palm Coast, Flagler area had a law that limited them to like 3 or 4 stories. They couldn't go past that. Is this going to change now?
Hammock Dunes is a true private community.
Oh, okay.
So therefore,
they don't fall under that.
They don't fall under that. No.
Okay. So how do we know about how large these buildings might be, since there's only 2 of them?
Yeah, I'm trying to find my picture.
So you figure there's about roughly 60 something in each. So
it looked like 10. It looked like 10. I had my readers and I was trying to figure this morning count. Let's see what this one. Well, this is where it's going to. go. I would have to find it, guys.
Don't worry
I
about it.
It's fine.
apologize.
It's fine. We'll find out. It's relatively new, and we'll see
Yeah.
once it comes.
Yes.
But that's interesting. That's going to bring a lot of. Do you think this would be full-time occupancy or just
I do.
vacational?
No, I feel that it will probably be 70% full time and then possibly 30%. There's a lot of rumors going on with this company, and
Mhm.
my broker is working with them. As I mentioned, we do not know who will be representing the condo, which real estate company will be selling it. I do know that if you do choose to go that route, that is the only product that you can sell. You cannot sell general real estate throughout Palm Coast. So my 21-year book of business will be handed off.
Oh, so they're requiring you to be exclusive with them.
Correct.
Okay.
Would you do that?
I just have to learn more. I have to learn more about it. It's a risk. It's a gamble. I've had 2 people in 2 days ask me, what are they doing? What do they know that we don't know to be investing? The banks, what do the banks know? And
Especially at that price point.
right. And Flagler County. I mean, we are a jewel. Like, we've been a hidden treasure for a long time. We've just been discovered. And so they know something, and that makes me feel good.
And why do you think we've just been discovered? I shouldn't say we, because I've only been here for 4 months. I'm not part of the we.
Where are you from?
Chicago.
Oh, you're from Chicago?
Right.
Okay, I have a seller.
Maybe I should ask myself that question.
I know.
So why do you think this Palm Coast has been just discovered? It's the gem. Where was everybody?
You want
10
a
years
little
ago?
history
Yeah.
of Flagler County? So Flagler County was developed back in the mid 70s from ITT from Connecticut. Do you all remember Chips? The
Yes.
show Chips?
Are you about to tell Eric Estrada?
Eric Estrada.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how Palm Coast was developed. And so that was back in the 70s. And we're on the East Coast. You have St. Augustine, you have Volusia, but nobody really knew. The fishing pier used to be a casino where the restaurant is the Funky
really?
Pelican.
That
Yeah.
used to be a casino?
Yep. So, and where the old gym is, the gym that's there right on Moody and Moody and Central? That was the post office. So there's been a lot of change, and we were never discovered. Our roads, a lot of them were grass until they were improved south of 100, and people started moving, and the secret's out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, in 2008, just before 2008, Palm Coast was fastly growing, had a lot of investment, a lot of plans and so forth, but 2008 kind of destroyed that. And when I came here in 2014, it was still recovering. I bought my house very cheaply.
Oh, so, you did. You bought at a great time.
Yeah, about half off. So I'll take it.
I could have bought a house on Button Bush. I could have bought a duplex, 3 bedrooms, each side, all tile, 1-car garage, foreclosure for $118,000. A duplex. I could have purchased. I didn't have the money then. We were all second job in it because we weren't selling anything. So, and again, when I moved here, we had 1 red light, and that was just at Old Kings Road. We didn't have Walmart where it was. Everything was trees. The only thing we had was Publix and Walmart. Our Walmart is where the Bell's Outlet is.
Mm-hmm.
That was our Walmart. So when my baby was born 31 years ago, I would go shop at there. So.
How about Flagler Beach? Was that
Flagler Beach
undeveloped?
Oh no. Flagler Beach was historically for the people that lived out west in Palatka and East Palatka and worked at the paper mill, and they would buy that. I'm talking about the Hammock now, the old Hammock. They had trailers there, and they would come, and that would be their summer home. And they take time off from the mill, and the family would come and just stay here. And then when Hammock Beach and the Hammock Beach Club, the Cinnamon Beach and Hammock Dunes were developed, obviously the tax prices went up and forced them out. Mm-hmm. So I would physically have to drive over because, this is 20 years ago. We didn't have tech. I would drive over to Palatka and have these old people sign sales contracts because they couldn't afford the taxes. So, and then they made a rule that you can have your mobile home here, but you just can't replace it with a new one. So if you take down your mobile home, it has to be a single family residence.
Little off topic. What are they doing on that coastline? There's this whole, I think, 3 to 4 year project. You may not know.
The sand?
Yeah, the sand, and they're redoing the pier there.
It's because of them, the underwash of A1A.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying it. They're going to do it every 5 years. They're going to refill the sand.
Oh, to keep the ocean back and keep that road
Correct. From
going out into the ocean. Okay, I was wondering that.
Now ask me if you think I will work.
That's a whole lot of work every 5 years, and that's a whole lot of disruption to like this. This hasn't even started.
Oh yes, it has.
Really, I was
had
just
to rebuild all that after Sandy.
I was just there like 2 weeks ago.
You didn't see that, the big barge?
Oh, I got to go back and figure this out now.
It's the big barge that's blowing in the sand.
No, I didn't see
It
it.
starts south. They're working their way north. I think it goes to 28th. It does not go up to St. Augustine, and it does not go up to Jungle Hut. I'm sorry that I refer to terms old because I've lived here for so long. It is going to go to, I would say, south of the pier. It's to 28th Street. I think it starts and it works its way north. I don't know how far.
Are they going to rebuild that pier?
One day. They've rebuilt it 3 times since I've lived here.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was part of that whole project.
Maybe. I
don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
and one more thing. You said in the beginning, we just hit it really briefly, that the condo market is cold because of the reserve studies and the obligation for those condos to have inspections.
Mm-hmm.
Are those inspections due by the end of this year?
No. I'm not going to say no for 110% sure on that. They can't do this to people. We are going to, let me find my condo information. Are you a little warm?
No.
I think it's 2025.
Maybe moving all those papers or giving you a workout.
Right?
Well, because I did my homework.
And everybody's peppering you with questions, so that's never fun.
And I'm in menopause.
You know, that's all I was saying.
Okay.
You know?
So just give me a moment, men.
I was just about to ask you that.
No problem.
Do you want a nice hot cup of tea? we have many cups.
Hold on. I'm throwing this down.
Because I got to imagine, if you're a potential buyer of a condo, because you like the whole idea that you can get into a condo living type situation, and you've actually turned your mind off to the fact that a couple just collapsed. So get rid of that. And you're about to go into this and you want to live on the ocean or anywhere around there within 3 miles. But one, you don't know how that condo, unless you do some research, has been funded. How much do they have in reserves? Has the study been done telling you, you got to replace the parking garage ramp in the next 5 years for $1.2 million, or you got to replace the roof, and you don't know what those costs are. You don't know what's in the bank for that condo association. How would you possibly make a purchasing decision? Because you don't know. You could be hit with a $60,000 one-time special assessment 2 years into the condo. How would you possibly know that? And now, like you said, it's not fair. I'm assuming what you're about to go into is that it's not fair to the people who are currently living there, because a lot of them are on a fixed budget, and you're going to hit them with something. That's what I'm assuming you're going into.
Yes. Okay. So basically, to answer your question, what you asked about for the end of 2024, the condos 3 stories or higher must undergo structural inspections every 10 years after they turn 30, or every 10 years after they turn 25, if they're within 3 miles of the coastline. Buildings that are already 30 or older must have inspections completed by the end of 2024. And condo directors must complete at least 4 hours of education. The rules are crazy of what's going on. What is the new reserve law for condos? The legislation requires condo associations to maintain reserve funds specifically allocated for structural repairs and maintenance. These funds must be determined based on reserve studies conducted every 10 years as outlined. So you're going to have engineer inspections, and you are going to get audited, and you're going to have a surplus. And I'm going to actually talk about the only condo that I know of, and so I'll probably get hated on this, and I'll learn a lot. I'll read it, once we go live. Tidelands is 100% funded. Tidelands condo community that's on the Intercoastal in Palm Coast. It is 100% funded, and they still have enough reserves to replace the tile roof when that time comes. Assessments are being a $588 assessment was just put in Lake Forest for a new roof. Ask me another question, because you'll get me going. I can tell you stories of people.
So you're using that association as a success story.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And as if to say that if all the other condo associations, they could have been doing the same thing.
Correct.
So we should have no pity for them.
Correct.
Okay.
I feel they sit down at their board meeting and have a cup of coffee and eat a donut. And so what's going on? The house of power washing. Oh, volunteer. I'm so going to get hated. I'm an excellent agent, and I just want what's best for everybody. So there's condos right now where people cannot live in them for 2 years, but they still have to pay the HOA fee every single month while the building's being rehabbed. There's an instance where in South Florida, each owner got assessed $100,000. We shouldn't feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for the owners. I mean, the people that aren't the people are on the board. You have 5 people on the board making those decisions.
Aren't they 5 owners as well? People
right.
on the board.
Yeah.
Right, so
well, they must have money,
and they got voted in somehow, right?
Right.
All right. So we can do let's project this. They're the owners. They got voted in. So should we really feel sorry that these associations are underfunded?
I feel bad for the residents.
Yeah, I know. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Here's another. You want to hear a really bad one? And I'm not mentioning names. Process of showing a condo over $800,000 to the HOA president, and my buyer, who is an accountant, did his due diligence, and the buyer's agent nor the HOA president disclosed that there was over $200,000 in past assessments.
Per?
No, it would be the units divided. $200,000 over the past 2 years, and that was never disclosed to my buyer. But my buyer, doing his homework, because he's an accountant, he said, Colleen, and he called me, and I said, I said, you're right. Let me call. And she's like, oh yeah, but it's all been taken care of. No, this should have been disclosed. We need to know. My buyer needs to know that these have been taken care of. It's a selling point. Do your job. Let's show the improvement. But it scared my buyer. My buyer said, no, if I'm buying the president of the HOA and he didn't disclose that, what else may I find down the road? So that goes on as well. HOA communities, there's one that's going up 20% every year until 2029. And that has, so everybody, their fees will be increased 20%, their HOA monthly fees.
Wow.
So everybody's doing it different. It's wild.
I don't know why you'd put a toe in that market right now.
And it is very difficult when you're a listing agent and you have a beautiful unit and it's priced really pretty for this area. As I said, Flagler County is still underpriced. It'd probably sell for $400 in St. Augustine, $425 easy. And I can't get rid of it for $335.
Are you saying the condo market in St. Augustine is different from the condo market here?
No, not a lot. It's a vacation. Up in St. Augustine, when you're directly on the ocean, it would be like the Hammock Beach Club theme, where it's an investment and you're making money and you're still renting it out and the property management is handling it for you. Then it's just a different product.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have a lot more tourism up there in that
Correct.
area. So
correct.
It's easier to rent out.
Yes. And they are relocating to Palm Coast because St. Augustine is so crowded and overgrown. A lot of people are coming here.
Well, it'll be interesting to see this new condo thing, although for the majority of people, I don't think they have $4 million to invest in that. But that means that there'll be some high wealth individuals coming into the area that could maybe invest in other things as well.
Oh,
So
one
it
more
might-
thing. I don't mean to interrupt you. In Flagler Beach, there is a new, it looks like a condo.
Margaritaville.
What is that?
That's Margaritaville. That is going to be a condo. Not a condo. I apologize. That's a hotel.
Oh, okay.
It is a hotel east of the bridge. We are not allowed to have any chains to keep Flagler Beach the charm that it is.
Mhm.
So when there was a lot of debate over that Margaritaville, my personal opinion, the way they're doing it is okay because they'll still be able to have, it looks like Friday night, the first Friday, and go down there and have the Friday night in the park and things like that. They're doing it tastefully. I'm not a fan. The only chain that I ever knew of, and I could be wrong, was Ace Hardware that was there. And I think now it's like Johnny D's. That's where the Ace Hardware was. And then anything that was a chain had to be on the west side of the bridge.
In Friday night, what was that?
First Friday
Yeah, what
in
is that?
Flagler Beach. For your family to go down, they'll have like vendors and movie night and things like that.
Like movie in the park type thing? Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, Colleen, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge and your experience, and also talking about this new complex, especially the give us a little bit more in depth on the NAR, excuse me, and how that is affecting the current selling and buying of houses. We're looking forward to getting more information from you as you get more on the new condo development.
Oh yeah, yep. I'll keep you all up to date for sure.
And also, if we come across anything else that's related to the market, especially Florida, Palm Coast, we'd like to invite you back in and possibly talk to you some more. So
absolutely, it's a turning. I'm not worried about it. We're still moving. People are still coming here. Do I feel that the prices are still a little bit inflated? Yes. Are they settling down? Yes, just in a slower way. Is the inventory coming up? It is. More people are listing. I picked up 3 listings this past week. I'm telling my condo owners price aggressively. And so I listed something 14 days ago and I had her come down 10,000. And it was in Lake Forest and it was $269. So it's too expensive. We're not going to get it. I know where it will sell. And I feel like the bad guy, And so she texted me yesterday and said, go ahead and reduce it. And we had a showing last night. So if you follow the advice of an experienced agent and really put your trust in them, they're going to be able to get you more money, because the longer you keep your home on the market, your monthly expenses, you're losing money. You're spending your utilities, your mortgage, your insurance. If you want to move, price it right.
okay. If you want to reach out to Colleen and get some information, some help with selling your house or buying a house, Colleen, would you please give us your information so that they can do that?
Sure. My name, I'm Colleen Hess. I'm with Remax Select Professionals. Pam Capella is my broker. She has had a brokerage here in Palm Coast since 2010, and she has been selling real estate since 2003 as well. And I service Flagler, St. John's, and Volusia County. I am within the top 100 agents. And I don't know about contact information. It'll be on the website.
Okay.
But I would like to tell a funny story, because you did ask me. Do I have time?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have edit,
Good. Yeah. I love that.
depending how funny.
Good. Well, yeah, it depends on the personality.
Okay.
Okay. So there's 3 things. And this is my favorite part about all of this stuff that I've done this week. Years ago, it was a Sunday late in the afternoon, and I had a 5-acre parcel listed, Coley Road. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful property, 5 acres, cross fenced. And I worked all day and I'm in high heels and it's raining and I have a buyer that wants to see it. So I meet him out there late in the afternoon, 5:00, and I cross the cross fence to kind of brag about the pony that was in the back. And so as I'm walking the wet property to show the buyers the beautiful land, the pony notices me and starts chasing me, like running charging me. And I'm trying to get through the cross fence so fast. That was one of my most memorable experiences. Recently, I had a phone number. George kept coming up on my phone. I'm like, he's in California. I sold it 7 years ago, and whatever. I'm on the phone the next day. George, and I get the voicemail. Colleen, this is from blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to give you my landline. There is 1 in 10 billion chances of that happening for me being in real estate and one of my old customers getting my new customer's phone number.
1 in 10 billion?
1 in 10 billion.
Hmm.
Think about that.
Okay.
And so
With the same name.
no, not the same name. That would make
just...
that would make it better. But no. And then,
gotcha.
But other than that, it's fun. I love it. I've been doing it. And my husband helps. My husband is my rock with our 9-year-old. So, because he helps a lot because I am a full-time agent.
Any of your daughters go into the business?
Sons. I have
Sons.
I have 3 boys. No, Gunnar is I have my son. He's in 4th grade. My other one is in the Air Force, and my other one is in between jobs right now. So
Finding himself.
Yeah, we can go into that as well.
It's a common trend nowadays. It's okay.
For a certain age group. You better delete that. My son will kill me.
Whatever.
Don't.
All right, we want to thank Colleen for coming on today. We appreciate her expertise and knowledge and everything. We enjoyed the conversation. We hope she enjoyed it as well. And we look forward to you commenting below and joining us for our next episode. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.